This is CrownFox habitat. So this whole thing started with a shipping container.
Yeah, we got a 40-foot high cube dropped out back.
Yes. And we had no intention of building.
No, but it was going to be a storage container for us.
Yeah, there still is stuff inside it. But I was painting it just because it was pretty beat up. And you called me.
From Habitat from Humanity, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had they just gotten a big shipment in of lumber and various pieces of wood. Like, it was so crazy. It was a huge amount.
It was a whole flatbed, tractor trailer flatbed full of lumber. And you were sending me pictures of it.
It was insane.
And I was like, man, there was like 6x6 cedar posts, 15 footers. I was like, ask them how much they think all this is worth.
Yeah, and it was about, I don't know, 12,000, something like that.
And I said, tell them we'll give them 4,000. They got to deliver it.
Yeah, and they did. They delivered it.
I know.
It was pretty awesome.
I knew they would, because nobody wants to unload all that into
No.
I don't even think they had room for it.
Right.
But yeah, that is really what it kickstarted it, because there was so much materials when you have that much excess.
And it was a variety of things, like
Yeah.
siding and shiplap.
And so I'd been toying about, so I started thinking about, well, what could we do up there? And I think the first idea was that maybe it would be like a tarot reading. You know, you're a big tarot reader.
Yeah,
and,
I love reading tarot for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll make a little thing like that. So the first couple challenges then were, we had to get up there. We had to build stairs to get up there. We had to build a staircase, which was cool.
It was.
Learning how to cut stringers. It's drive you insane. But once we got up there, I thought it was going to be flat. It's not flat.
No, it turns out the top of shipping containers have these little valleys in it so that they can stack on top of each other. So then we had to decide, how are we going to do a deck on this, and how are we going to do a stable base. And turns out 4x4s fit directly in the middle.
Perfectly fit. Yeah. And they don't move. So
no.
Took about 30 of them, and then we were ready to go. We started laying down. Well, we discovered,
Yes,
like within all of that, hall, there's these 28-foot 2x10s.
They were so beautiful.
Beautiful boards. So I started immediately painting them, which I know my style is like, I like to paint or stain or do what I'm going to do with my lumber, then build with it so that I don't have to do it later. And in this case, I knew I didn't want to be on my hands and knees on the deck,
which is definitely smart. It's super smart, but I don't know how many times I picked up a piece of lumber to move it and I got stain or paint all over me. But luckily, Texas,
it did dry quicker. We got the boards down. We allotted an area. I think it's about 10 by 12 for the cabin.
Yep.
The next move, we started building the walls.
Yeah, but
the deck.
Yeah, there was no room to build it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And in fact, like, it got even being working up there was pretty trepidatious.
Pretty tight, and you had to watch your step. I mean, at one point, Bogart, that American bulldog in the picture, I was walking with something, and he walked backwards, and he just walked off the
container.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was just thinking, okay, so I'm going to have to take him to the vet. Hopefully it's just maybe a broken leg because it was a 10-foot drop. And I was convinced that he was going to be messed up.
Yeah. Luckily he was a puppy, and I think he just still had rubber bones.
He just bounced. I went over to the edge and I looked, and he was embarrassed. He was like,
oh.
And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, wagged his tail. There you go. But we had to decide about the two doors. That was the thing we butted heads on.
That's right. We had found the French doors for the front, and that had nice open views. And we had gotten a lot more windows for the rest of it, so it had a real nice open.
I just wanted to have that other door because I just felt like it was gonna be less claustrophobic. And it just I don't know. I think it just psychologically, a tiny place like that, I think it worked.
Yeah. It's nice to have an alternative escape route, maybe.
Yeah. And as we, we got up to the header because we were just going to do just a sloped roof, just a simple.
Yeah.
And you had a great idea to just sort of.
Oh, right. So I wanted to make a nice style of the moon phases, basically. And it ended up looking really cool. And it had a nice little charm to
Yeah,
it.
nice little touch for the little tarot-centric vibe.
Yeah.
And as I was putting that in, I think there's a photo of me with dread in my eyes. And I was just like, this is 22 feet in the air now. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew the depth of my fear of heights. Because I was like, I was ignoring it. And I was like, I was ignoring it. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not getting up on this roof and putting this stuff.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not afraid of heights at all.
I
so.
know. And it was, I got to say, I think when you offered to do it, I think I fell in love with you a little more because I was just like, really? Are you really okay with it? Okay, that's good. That's good. I'll let you do that.
It was intimidating being up there, but we got it done.
Well, we had to, we didn't have tin. That was one thing. So we lucked out.
Next door or across the street.
Right across the road, yeah.
There's an old abandoned house, and it had the most perfect old tin that was super thick.
And, this house we call it the Vulture house because there's the vultures that live in it.
That's right. And it's the same two ones.
It's the same two. And we've known them from babies because we would go over there and grab a board or two for something and you'd hear them hissing.
Yeah.
They would hiss like little pterodactyls. And now we went over there and they're just hanging out, Heckle and Jekyll. And they were cool. I took a few sheets of tin and you got after the roof.
Right.
And you were also figuring out the railing situation. I was looking towards iron railings, but I really didn't want them to take up any more of the deck.
And iron railings were expensive.
Yeah.
And we were already going the wood route. So
and we had a lot of wood.
Right.
So you had a great idea.
The 4x4s were sticking off the side, and so they made a great anchor spot for each column of a railing, and then all I had to do was kind of bridge them together and make a cool design out of it.
Yeah, and then they're awesome. They've held up.
They have.
Yeah, perfect.
And they've added more
Have
stability.
Drunks leaning on people, leaning on them, everything. People stringing hammocks across them. As you were finishing those.
Oh. You were inside working on the electricity.
And I was totally cool with that. I was totally cool with the Romex.
Totally cool
you were
with
not
it.
so cool with it because I had never wired a sub panel. But I was ready to try.
Yeah.
I did look around and I called a couple people from electric departments that I knew. And everybody wanted like $100 an hour to come out and do electricity. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to watch a video because that's what you do, And
YouTube had some great videos.
YouTube has great videos. I'd been watching every time I needed a woodworking, tip or something. You'll always find these guys like, "Hi, my name's Randy, and I'm a wood maker. I'm a woodworker, and classes and stuff." And you're like, "Holy shit! I better get my notebook." This guy is a scholar. But then you go looking for electric. Okay. And for some reason, maybe I was in that algorithm. Every dude was like from Boston or Rhode Island. And he's like, "My name is Eric. I'm not certified, but I'm not afraid." Okay. First thing, make sure you don't got juice. Okay. That was one guy's first line. And I was like, oh shit, what's going on? After all of that, after we got we got the electric in and we covered the walls, then the fun part started.
Yeah, you couldn't wait to get to this place.
I just like dressing it out,
Yeah.
And we had a lot of ideas for it. We definitely weren't going to buy any furniture for it.
No, it was too small. So we really had to do custom pieces.
Mm-hmm. And we have a bunch of stuff. And, we started with like a top of a dresser with a mirror and then just sort of made the drawers, the shelves after that, and built a little half table. Everything just had a little bench we built, and even built the bed frame.
Everybody loves the designs that you put on the wood pieces.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a real simple trick you can do with printing stuff out of your printer. You print it reverse, and then you put this gel on the wood, and it just it's like a t-shirt.
Yeah,
transfer.
but it looks like magic.
It does. It looks awesome. It looks like you've sort of wood burned it. The whole vibe was, we were dialing in the vibe, which, was fun, super fun. And so, of course, next up was the mural. We'd been calling it the crow's nest.
And we had all the real estate on the side of the container.
Yeah. So I just, figured that out too. And that's another one that people...
It's pretty easy.
It's so much easier than you think. You get the image, and there's a little projector you can get that you just project it from your phone or your computer. But, I just took the phone. You got to do it at night. But you trace it out on there, and then it's just a paint by numbers thing.
I think we were a little worried at first with the corrugated sense of the...
Yeah, I didn't know how it looked from the angles, but it seems to look well. And you had a great idea with, it was automotive clear coat that I sprayed. Yeah,
in a can
on top of it. And it's like bulletproof.
It's been like, what, how many years?
Well, we did this, when did we do this? 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, 2018, from like July to September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the paint job. Really, everything's held up really well. We added another little roof over the porch,
I think that was a good...
helped extend it, because it was cozy up there, but this made it a little more breathy.
Yeah, it gave it a little place where you can go to get out of the sun or get out of the rain.
Mm-hmm. There's a few things we'd do different.
There are. I think, one, when we drop the container, we would definitely put a little more importance into the foundation.
Yeah.
Like put some cement pads. I think we used...
Even though it's holding up well.
It is.
You get a little worried when it's like, because it's, telephone poles,
That's what we used, was telephone poles.
And then the mud. I don't think it's shifted, and we've tacked it into all the other structures as we built them. So I think there's a lot of that going on. But
and I think probably that would lead to the second thing that we would do differently, making it wider.
Yeah, I would totally love to do that. I wish I would have thrown some 14-foot 4x4s on the cabin side and just literally just floored that out.
Yeah.
And having a couple more feet would have been...
Nice.
Would have made it a lot more. You'd want to live in it then,
right?
And maybe a subfloor.
Okay.
I don't care so much about it being a deck floor.
It's not a real problem, but I think it probably would be an upgrade.
Then it'd be a house. Then it could be a house with that with a little more. Yeah, it'd be. But it's kind of a treehouse vibe.
It has its own charm, and people love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we threw a party. Immediately, as soon as it was done, and I was noticing, right as the party was going on, I was like, man, everybody's going into the house for the bathroom. I need to build a bathroom out here.
Yep. And also, we were having a party, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own bar out here?
Oh, yeah. No, we totally got the fever with this one, because it turned out really well, and it's like a tattoo. You get one, and you're like, okay, I can see where the next one. You know what I mean?
We just happened to have a barn full of material.
Yeah. At that point, it was like I was already thinking about a bar, but really, and I think that's our next video, is we ought to talk about the
outdoor shower.
We did an outdoor shower and a bathroom.
And those both require a septic tank.
Yeah, they did. And we did one. We dug it. And you'll dig it too.